When most people think about retirement income, they picture their investments, their statements, and whatever the stock market decides to do in a given year. But modern retirement isn't just about the size of your nest egg. It's about the reliability of the income coming out of it. Today, we're going to break down what those income floors are, why they matter, and how they help you create a retirement that feels stable no matter what the market does. Today on Financial Fast Track with Tod Long.
You are moments away from finally getting the inside track on finance.
You've saved, you've done all the preparation, but when it's time to execute, you have to shift from preparing to performing.
This is the Financial Fast Track with Tod Long.
What we're going to do is take the guesswork out of financial planning for you.
Making more momentum with your money.
Income floors, huh, Todd? I'm pretty clean over at my house. I like to use Pine Sol and everything and make sure that the floors in the house are pretty clean. I'm looking forward to this discussion. Modern retirement income buckets, guaranteed income floors is where we're going to start. But first, I want to introduce Tod Long and our show, Financial Fast Track with Tod Long. And Todd of Long Financial Services, what's happening since I saw you last?
Not much, just working away and talking to clients and doing those kinds of things that any firm would be doing.
Yes, well, giving financial fast track reviews, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
Well, for 22 years since you stopped running professionally, you've been involved in financial services, and this is an interesting step to take because it's off of the running track, but not really because your dad was in financial services too, right?
That's correct. Yeah, briefly he was. I think, as a matter of fact, when I was a child, he probably was as well, if I recall some of his jobs he used to have. But when I got a little bit older, he was certainly, and he was actually a farmer's agent. Strangely enough, I've talked to a couple of farmer's agents that have called in on the show, and we've had some conversations about their situation, and of course, my history with farmers and people we know together.
Well, that's fun that people call and say, hey, oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, exactly right.
Let me ask you another thing. When people call into the show, and I'm going to hand out the number 888-548-0409, 888-548-0409, are potential clients in a certain age group? Are we talking about baby boomers, the end of the baby boomers, the beginning of the Gen Xers? What are we talking?
That's a good question. I think currently right now, the folks that are calling into the show are traditionally been baby boomers.
Okay.
Either late 60s, 70s.
Huh.
I want to say late. I think Gen X has started in 65. Was it 60?
That's
60?
right. So they're all turning 61 this year.
Yeah, exactly. And I've only talked to a few of those 61s. As a matter of fact, I just had a call 2 days ago with a gentleman that was 60 years old, very, very specific on when he wants to retire because he's been thinking about it since he was 12 years old.
Oh,
yeah, he's very, very, very specific. But for the most part, they're plus 65. I think my oldest folks that have been calling in have been, I think 90.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah. Still heavily involved with their retirement and all their finances and whatnot. So they're trying to make sure that there's things are taken care of before, anything happens to them.
Sure. And we've talked, if you're new to the show, it's Financial Fast Track with Tod Long, and we cover a myriad of subjects. We've covered RMDs. We've covered so many things. And today we're going to talk about the income buckets. Mm-hmm. The word that does throw me off a little bit, Todd, is guaranteed income floors. Now, where's the floors part? What is a guaranteed income floor?
Yeah, that's a good place to start. So a guaranteed income floor is the portion of your retirement income that is designed to be unaffected by market volatility. It's the income you can actually count on. So that's, month and after month. That's regardless of what the interest rates are doing, the stock market performance, economic, cycles, or any kind of politics that are going on in the world. The floor is typically built using tools that provide contractual guarantees. That's things like your Social Security, your pension, and obviously certain kinds of annuity structures that are designed to create predictable lifetime income. So that's kind of what that guaranteed income floor is.
Okay, so we're not falling through the floor.
No.
We're not cutting a new basement or anything like that. This is the guarantee.
Yeah. this is your baseline. This is what you're going to get on a consistent basis, no matter what's happening around you in the world, et cetera. And you want to make sure that particular income bucket is consistently coming to you all the time.
Okay, I like the idea of having something guaranteed. Why is it so important for covering essential expenses? I mean, maybe because everything seems so volatile right now, Todd?
Well, yeah, and if you don't have enough money to take care of those incidentals, you're going to have some anxiety in your retirement. And so this eliminates or reduces that retirement anxiety by having a consistent source of income that's coming in that you know is going to take care of your housing needs, your food, any kind of transportation needs you have, your health care, those kinds of things. You want those things are resolved consistently all the time. And that's what this income floor does for you.
So in other words, it reduces the emotional stress that people have every single month. I mean, I guess it's hard to get rid of once you retire from work, because it seems to me like while we're all still working, we're like, okay, I got everything covered, don't I? It's the, first of the month, everything's covered. It's all paid, isn't it?
Right. And so we talked about it before on the show is like you really want that retirement paycheck. And that's where that retirement paycheck comes in, because when you was working, you was getting something consistently, whether it be twice a month, once a month, whatever it was, or sometimes weekly, but you was getting money from, working. And so you had money to take care of those bills, those, electricity and housing and everything else that you had to do when you was coming up. Retirement's no different. You still have that same anxiety. I think most people go to bed sleeping at night thinking, I want to make sure that I have enough money for the next month, the next 2 months, et cetera, to take care of my needs. And so these guaranteed income floors, I want to keep on saying that because it's got to be guaranteed. Guaranteed income floors solve that problem, and provided the fact you get it set up correctly.
Okay. Now, this is the caveat. You got to get it set up correctly. You can call Todd and have a no-cost, no-obligation discussion on this subject, 888-548-0409, 888-548-0409. And when you do, set up the appointment, then when you see Todd, say, didn't you say guarantee? Guarantee. You want to guarantee that this money is going to be hanging around. So this helps retirees avoid the fear-driven decisions of wanting to sell everything when the stock market goes down or something. This is not what we're talking about, right?
That's correct. A lot of folks actually do make those emotional driven decisions based on what the market's doing. If the market's down and you need money and you're like, you go to bed that night, it's like, I got to get some cash. And so the only source of cash you have is a market that's down. Then guess what? You're making an emotional decision. You're going to pull that money out the wrong time. And you're really not giving that money, which has a job. And that's one of those long-term later buckets that we will talk about a little bit later, that you want to just let alone. You don't want to do anything with those funds, because they fund your soon bucket. And that's not even what we're talking about right now. We're talking about that income bucket. You want to make sure that nothing is interacting in a negative manner with that income bucket, because that's paying your bills currently right now. And it keeps you from making those market-based decisions or emotional decisions about trying to get money coming into the house.
So essentially the income floor keeps you afloat, right? And it integrates with the now, soon, later buckets. I like how you have those labeled: now money, soon money, later money.
Exactly. And honestly, they all feed off one another, because eventually what's going to happen is that in, let's say, 10 to 15 years, that soon bucket is going to be necessary. And so if you've used your income bucket correctly, the soon bucket now becomes, guess what? That income bucket. And then the later bucket starts to feed into the soon bucket. So now you're creating a new soon bucket. So that later bucket's not really being touched at all until it needs to fill the soon bucket. And that soon bucket is not necessarily messed with either until it needs to fund the income bucket. So as you age, all those buckets are still going to be there.
Okay.
Right? They're just going to be used at different times.
I picture us at the water park, and the buckets that fill and then spill and spill and spill.
That's exactly right. It is.
And the kids stand under there waiting for the big bucket to spill.
Yep. That's exactly what you have to do.
I can't wait for summer, by the way.
You can't?
No, it's been a little cold for me.
Oh, yeah. It's cold here, too, but it's getting better.
Good. So that's the way I see it. So this structure helps people feel more organized, right? Because it's here, and that's a guarantee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
you always want that guarantee to be there, no matter what point in life you are. You always want some guaranteed money coming in.
I do. That's for sure.
Hey, everybody should. Everybody should want that.
Okay.
We're not talking about small pensions, and we're not talking about just relying on Social Security. We're talking about actually having all your money in your portfolio have a job. And so some of that job is going to be in the income bucket. Some is going to be in the soon bucket. Some is going to be in the later bucket. So if you're listening right now and thinking, I don't know if my retirement income is stable enough, or I don't know how much money is in my income bucket, or what should be in my income bucket, what should be guaranteed versus not, or even I don't even have a structured income plan at all. This is exactly why we make 10 free financial fast track reviews available each week. Now, I want to be clear about who this review is designed for. While many of the strategies that we actually use have worked extremely well for families that have $1 million or more in retirement assets, we've also seen great success helping those who are earlier in that journey. So if you have roughly $200,000 or more saved for retirement, this review can be very meaningful starting point. In this review, my team and I will help you determine the right size of your guaranteed income floor, map out your now, your soon, and your later buckets, identify where your essential income should come from each year, stress test your portfolio for volatility and longevity risk, and review tax-efficient withdrawal strategies that support long-term income stability. For the next 10 callers, this is free, no obligation review, designed to give you clarity and confidence as you prepare for retirement decisions that will shape the next 20 to 30 years of your life. Jackie, tell the listeners how to get one of these spots.
888-548-0409. 888-548-0409. Boy, clarity and confidence, both of those sound pretty darn good, Todd. Again, on the number, 888-548-0409.
Tired of financial jargon that leaves you feeling confused? At Long Financial Services, Tod Long offers clear, straightforward advice about your retirement. Understand your strategies, regain control, and get peace of mind knowing exactly where you stand. Call 888-548-0409. Again, that's 888-548-0409.
I want a soon bucket of money. Welcome back to the show, Financial Fast Track, with Tod Long. FinancialFastTrackRadio.com is a landing site to reach Todd and also to hear our past shows. And soon you're going to have a YouTube channel because we made a bunch of videos together.
Yep. Well, actually, yeah, on Financial Fast Track Radio, you can look that up on YouTube currently. I think most of our shows are already there.
On YouTube as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so in podcast form, either financialfasttrackradio.com itself, the URL, or on YouTube, financialfasttrackradio.com.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, fun. We're big stars.
Yeah, trying to be.
Yeah. Todd. I think you were a star before I met you, but that's all right.
Yeah, I was a local star, maybe a little bit a nationwide star, but not a world class star. I was a world class athlete, though. That's the difference.
Yes, world class athlete. That is different. You're a darn fast runner. I better get it right since I already opened this can of worms. You won a national championship in the 200 meters and a world indoor championship in the 4x400 meter relay.
Yes.
In 96.
Yes.
Then later you added a Masters national and world title in 2023.
2013.
2013.
Yeah, 2023. That was 2 years ago. I was.
You were already slowing down by then?
Oh, well, I was slowing down in 2013, just not for my age group. I'm still probably fast for my age group now, but I just hadn't got onto the track and started developing the raw kind of speed I would need to go out and compete.
Okay, so let me correct that. Masters national and world titles in 2013.
Correct. In the 100 meter.
In the 100 meter. Oh, that one was in the 100 meter.
Yes.
Can't read my own writing. By golly. That is really cool. That is fast. Man, we've covered some good information. I was just looking at our past shows. Really, people should hop online and check it out. FinancialFastTrackRadio.com. That decluttering show we did was quite fine.
It was good.
And today we're talking about modern retirement income buckets, guaranteed income floors. And this segment is going to be about our soon bucket. What's the purpose of our soon bucket?
Yeah, it's actually the engine that powers your early retirement income. So it's structured to deliver predictable cash flow for roughly the first decade or more of retirement. And a lot of people think, why that long? Because those first 10 to 15 years are the most vulnerable of your retirement. You're transitioning out of, I'm going to say this. You should be transitioning out of accumulation stage, learning how your spending behaves in retirement. And you're most at risk of sequence of returns problems. We've talked about that before on the show.
Right. So
the Soon bucket gives retirees income independence. It ensures that they're not forced to sell market assets during downturns just to fund their lifestyle. Think of it as your stability zone, and that's what this Soon bucket technically does.
Mm-hmm. Does this first 5 or 10 years of retirement, is this a threat to our Soon bucket?
No, not if you don't. Not if you do it correctly. Again, that's why we talked about the income floor first.
Okay.
Because you want to have some sort of stream of income coming in that's guaranteed and contractual, so you won't erode the Soon bucket, right? Because the Soon bucket has a purpose, and that is to fund your first 10 to 15 years of retirement. So as you start to, start to rely on your income floor or your guaranteed contractual income, the Soon bucket starts to feed into that. And so how you replenish the Soon bucket, we'll talk about later bucket, but that comes from the later bucket, right?
Okay.
So each bucket kind of funds the other.
It's just a fascinating concept. Todd's phone number, 888-548-0409, 888-548-0409. Not just a concept, but a practice and a wonderful strategy, it sounds like. So tell me, what kind of an asset typically fills the Soon bucket?
Yeah, it is usually filled with assets designed for reliability,
all right,
not speculation. And so I think this is, if somebody thinks they have somebody thinks they have a bucket strategy already in play, they're probably putting the wrong kind of assets in a Soon bucket, because it's not about speculation, it's not about growth, it's not about going out into the market. So you want things like fixed annuities, you want fixed index annuities with income riders, you want short-term fixed income, you want laddered guaranteed products, you want cash flowing, contracts with principal protection features. The purpose isn't to beat the market in this bucket. The purpose is to provide certainty, something that markets can't guarantee in the short term. So the Soon bucket allows retirees to set aside income that won't fluctuate, won't evaporate, and won't force uncomfortable decisions in the middle of a down market.
I just love that you have figured this all out. It really is. It's absolutely fascinating. So why do predictability and reliability really matter? I mean, in this bucket.
Well,
in the whole strategy.
Yeah. So you don't want.
That's redundant. The question is redundant, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, think about it is you just don't want your these kinds of monies in the market, because if is in the market, you're forced to make those bad decisions or those emotional decisions with respect to how do I get my income? What do I need to? And again, I think I said it earlier, a lot of folks should have moved their money from an accumulation bucket into a preservation bucket. So we talked about this before. So this Soon bucket is really preservation. All those assets I just mentioned last talking point was in a preservation bucket. And so if it's preserved out of the market, you don't have a problem. You have to worry about your money going down because of the market's downturn, right? But if your money's in an accumulation bucket, guess what? Well, I'll say this. If 90% or 85% or more of your money is in accumulation bucket as far as retirement income or retirement monies, then if the market goes down a large 20 points, right? Then that's 20% of your income is going away. It's just been evaporated. But if it's in a Soon bucket, structured correctly, 20% downturn in the market, okay, no problem. I can weather that, because you give your later bucket, which is in the market, time enough to recover from that 20-point downturn.
Okay. So we want to avoid, obviously, early withdrawals from a growth asset.
Correct.
Okay. But I think it was tempting, don't you think, Todd, since COVID, because there was a waived fee or whatever. The fee was waived if you were out of work or whatever. You could withdraw from your 401k or IRA account. So I think we got in the habit of, hey, I need a new car. I'm going to take that, or I want to pay off my mortgage. I'm going to take that right out of my IRA money.
Yeah. And
why is this dangerous?
The fee, and what you're talking about is a 10% waive, because that of typically if you're before an earlier 59.5, you're not 59.5 yet, et cetera. You could, if you take money out of your qualified account, then there's a 10% federal tax
Thank
fee.
you. Yes.
I'm sorry. And at one point in time, I'm sure it was probably waived because of the situation we're in. Mm-hmm. However, that doesn't affect or talk to the fact that if we did go through an adjustment during that time frame as far as the market's concerned, it did go down. So if you took money out at that point in time to pay for that car, pay off your house, et cetera, you just locked in losses in your investments, which you shouldn't do. So one of the reasons why we have this structured approach as far as buckets concerned, we have, again, everything is working like it's supposed to. Every piece of money you have, every dime, every penny should have a job, right? And the later bucket gives you the ability to weather those 20% downturns, 10% downturns, et cetera, for long term. 20 years down the road, because again, your retirement is going to should last 30 years. 10, 15 years down the road, you want to be able to have some sort of funds in that market or in the market account, in that accumulation bucket that's still there, still going with the ups and downs of the market, has plenty of time to adjust, et cetera, that you can pull out and put into a soon bucket. Soon bucket gets filled up. Guess what? Now you have your income bucket again. So that's kind of how that flow works. And that's why it's important to really think about it before you start to pull money out.
Right. Okay. I think we should consult with you. That's the important part, is don't get into that habit of pulling things out of that bucket.
Well, if you are listening right now and leaned in because you don't know if you've structured your income for the first 10 to 15 years, or you're paying close attention because you're not sure how to build a proper soon bucket, or this conversation's hitting home because you feel like you're guessing with your income strategy. This is exactly the reason why we offer a free financial fast track review for the first 10 callers. This review tends to be the most valuable for people who are serious about actually turning their savings into a real income plan. We work with families across a wide range of situations, from those with substantial retirement portfolios to those still building towards the next milestone. So if you've accumulated around $200,000 or more for retirement and want to bring structure and predictability to your income, this review is designed for you. In this review, my team and I will help you calculate your retirement income gap, determine the right size for your soon bucket, evaluate whether your current income sources are protected from market volatility, and actually map out a 10 to 15 year predictable income plan. Integrate the soon bucket with your growth and longevity strategies as well. This is going to be, we're going to build a step-by-step retirement income blueprint so you can actually rely on. For the next 10 callers, this is a free, no obligation review designed to bring you clarity, structure, and confidence to your retirement income plan. So Jackie, tell the listeners how to get one of these spots.
Grab that spot, claim that offer, 888-548-0409, 888-548-0409. You could also check out financialfasttrackradio.com.
Feeling like just another number with your advisor? At Long Financial Services, you're always valued personally. Tod Long knows your retirement isn't about numbers on a page. It's about income you can depend on, security you can trust, and advice tailored specifically to you. Take the first step toward a meaningful conversation. Call 888-548-0409. Proudly serving Oklahoma. Again, that's 888-548-0409.
If you have not called to claim your own financial fast track review, it's very easy. 888-548-0409. 888-548-0409. You'll be meeting with Tod Long. When you make that phone call, you'll just book right into his calendar, and You could do a virtual first meeting. That's just fine with him. 888-548-0409, but whatever's the most comfortable for you. Now, you were talking to someone recently about the buckets system and his Sooner bucket.
Yeah, he had a kind of a epiphany, as a matter of fact, when I was starting to kind of break this down. We talked about the income bucket, and he kind of understood that. And we talked about the later bucket. Of course, we understood that. That's more like, growth. But he did not know that the soon bucket should last for 10 to 15 years. And so right now, when we start looking at it, we haven't conducted business yet, but we're in this process of looking at the strategy, and we saw that his soon bucket was not really funded correctly. And so because it wasn't funded correctly, because he didn't really know what it was, to be honest, and so we see that there's a gap. So the thing is, he started to understand that if the market crashes currently right now, because it's one of the things I ask, where are you going to get money at? What's going to happen? How do you sustain yourself for the 10, 15 years? Because the contractually bound income that he has coming in is only Social Security, and he has a very, very small pension. So he would not be able to have the right kind of lifestyle he wanted unless he pulled out from the later bucket. And as we've talked about before, if you start pulling money out of that, then guess what? You're not giving that later bucket an opportunity to weather that market downturn. And so he's now got a sequence of events problem, which happens most often, and he's around 63 years old. When people retire, market goes down, they need money, they go out to that later bucket, they pull money out. Now you locked in 2 losses out of those funds. So it was eye-opening for him to have this conversation. He starts to understand the need to have a structured and sequenced a plan that around buckets. We also talked about the accumulation bucket, that he's got a lot of money in accumulation, as I mentioned, because that's the later bucket. And anybody who's retiring, you got to start to consider moving that money out of accumulation into some sort of preservation bucket. And again, as I mentioned, the soon bucket is filled with those fixed annuities, fixed index annuities, et cetera. He just didn't have that in his portfolio yet.
Well, if we don't have the education, Todd, how are we supposed to have the success?
That's true, and so this is obviously no bad ill of him.
No.
He just didn't know.
Any of us.
Yeah, and you go back to the traditional way of doing things. You always think, okay, I'm putting all my money in a 401k or some sort of investment account and let the money just sit and ride. I'm like, that's not behooving you long term. It does for the accumulation portion. They do really, really good jobs of accumulating money, but your money has to go through transitions, just like you as a human go through transitions in life. You get educated, you get smarter, you start to do things differently. Your money has to do the same thing. Your money has to have the right kind of job at the right time. And we have to get, either talk to somebody like myself to get educated on how to do these things, or you get to a point to where you, and that way you understand that the money you have in your portfolio has to work for you correctly. You've always heard, have your money working for you. Well, if it's just sitting in a retirement plan, it's not working for you properly. You
can utilize this 3-bucket simplicity framework with Tod Long. Have him explain it to you in person. It's absolutely fascinating. And obviously a successful strategy. Use this number to call Todd, 888-548-0409, 888-548-0409.
Retirement means a new phase of life, and managing risk is crucial. At Long Financial Services, Tod Long and his team build comprehensive strategies designed to minimize risk, generate reliable income, and help you stay proactive through every market condition. Discover what your retirement plan could look like. Call 888-548-0409. Again, that's 888-548-0409.
Welcome back to the show. It's Financial Fast Track with Tod Long and Jackie Selby on this side of things. We have been talking about our bucket strategies, and Todd has come up with some beautiful words and strategies, and boy, do they work for your clients. Essentially, our show today is Modern Retirement Income Buckets, Guaranteed Income Floors. And Todd, how is the soon bucket supporting our later bucket? Can you tell me how this works?
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
The assets grow?
Yeah, sure. And this is what really most people don't really realize when we're doing the right strategies. A strong soon bucket doesn't restrict growth. It actually enables growth. So when retirees don't have to draw from their market-based accounts every year, those growth-focused investments can compound uninterrupted. They ride out those downturns, they recover faster, they grow more efficiently, meaning that the soon bucket protects the later bucket, and the later bucket ultimately funds the second half of retirement. So this is how people avoid outliving their savings, not by chasing those returns, but by structuring income in a way that gives their long-term assets room to grow.
Oh, that sounds good. Because most people are really just, I don't know, if they don't have a plan and they've never done any research on this subject, Todd, about planning for your retirement and making sure that the money lasts and lasts. We just weren't given this information. You've come up with such specific ways to make it function properly. Yeah,
and you're right. I think I'd say this. In a traditional sense, a lot of people didn't do these kinds of strategies because he wasn't around or they didn't think about it, or a lot of advisors were just stuck in their traditional ways. A lot of the things that I do, and I've tried to say on this show, is there's modern ways to do retirement planning, and and it's not me developing all this stuff. It's me just doing the research and being in the lab and figuring out exactly how things work when it comes to finances. And so I start to structure and do things that I know to work based on talking to people, understanding other advisors who are doing the modern type of strategies, et cetera. And this income floor, soon bucket, and later bucket has been one of the ones that has worked well across the industry, provided the fact that we have advisors that are thinking, let's do modern stuff instead of the old traditional ways of doing it.
That's the word I was looking for, the modern way to plan things.
Yeah.
And I want to hand out your number again. It's 888-548-0409. Call Tod Long and say, I want this modern analysis. Give me a financial fast track review. 888-548-0409. All right, so let's zoom out, shift to the long-term engine of our retirement, the later bucket. Let's go to the later bucket.
So the later bucket is actually three essential things. First, it actually offsets inflation. Second, it provides growth to extend the life of your portfolio. And third, it replenishes the soon bucket after those first 10 to 15 years of income has been spent. So this bucket is invested for the long haul. So we're not looking at it year to year fluctuations. Instead, what we're doing is looking at it in a 15, 20, 25 year performance cycle. The goal is actually long-term compounding, not short-term predictability, which is a different shift that folks have to consider, especially if they're accustomed and psychologically connected to watching the market grow or watching their portfolio grow.
We're programmed to do this, Todd.
Right. You got to get out of that mindset. Right. At this point in time, it's really about, it's a 20, 25 year type of process because, again, I'm trying to fund or create a retirement plan that's going to last for 30 to 35 or 40 years, not 10, 15, 20 years.
Well, then how does the bucket sustain us then for a 30-year retirement? Do you think we're going to live longer than 30 years after retirement?
Yeah. So consider the advancement of health, right? So a lot of folks are just living longer. That's just going to happen. So we have to start to plan for that. And if not, then guess what? We are in a situation where we've accumulated these funds and they could be transferred to your beneficiaries in a tax efficient manner. We take care of that too. But the buckets is really built for long, especially this later bucket is built for long-term growth. It contains assets that have historically outpaced inflation. So these are going to include like your equity-based investments, your index funds and ETFs, dividend-producing equities, structured growth instruments, inflation-sensitive assets, longer-term alternative investments. So it doesn't mean that you're swinging for the fences in this bucket. It just means that you're intentionally taking advantage of long-term growth cycles, and that's what this particular bucket needs to help fund the short-term bucket. Okay.
Now the long-term growth more important than short-term returns?
It depends on what you're trying to do. Again, this bucket right here has a job, and that's to beat inflation.
All right.
Period. It's not about short-term gains. It's not about any of those kind of things. We're looking at a 20 to 25 year span for this particular bucket, not short-term stuff like like your soon bucket or your income floor bucket.
Right. So the power of leaving this bucket alone is ultimately what we're doing.
That's correct. And the reason why we have the other two buckets is so we can leave that alone. We don't have to touch that bucket at all.
That seems like a relief.
It should be a relief, right? It should give that anxiety or release that any kind of anxiety in retirement. Just takes it away, because we know we have that contractual income coming in. We know that that's the income floor bucket. We know that we have 10 to 15 years of money sitting in the soon bucket. And we know that if we leave that long-term bucket alone, it's going to fund the second half of our retirement, right? Because again, 10, 15 years, guess what? Another 10, 15 years, that's 30 years. And guess what? Now you're 95 years old. Okay, there you go. But that larger bucket funds the second half of your retirement. So it starts to put money back into that short-term or that soon bucket.
Okay, so we're replenishing our soon bucket.
From the larger bucket.
From the larger bucket.
From the longer bucket, I'm sorry.
Do you by chance have a graphic that's prepared to show the money that drips down from bucket to bucket, like when you're at the water park?
Yeah, funny enough, I don't necessarily have that bucket. I do have, and you probably maybe are alluding to, I have a financial management system.
Yes.
That does break down, I'll call it lenses, so you can determine.
Lenses, yes.
Yeah, right. It can determine what, because we talk about these buckets all the time. And
right.
So what I wanted to do when I built this particular tool is to show my clients, okay, so we talked about the accumulation bucket, the preservation bucket, the distribution bucket. What does that look like for you? So let's put in your assets, let's put in all your statements and whatnot, whatever. And then my tool automatically adjusts to what these buckets are. So if you have 90% of your money in accumulation bucket, guess what? It's going to show that. Or if you have, we have the short term, midterm, and long term type buckets. We also have the income growth, and I forgot the other bucket name. I always forget it. But anyway, we have 9 different lenses basically we can actually look at. That actually splits it out, and you can actually visually see where your money's technically located with this tool. And it's really an eye-opening type of experience.
All right. Mm-hmm. So what are some common mistakes that retirees might make with their long-term assets, but cherry picking some cash out of it?
Well, actually, the most common mistakes are usually tied to either taking too much risk or not taking enough risk.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. So too much risk, that's, chasing those returns. You just mentioned it in the last talking points, like short-term type of investments versus the long-term type of investments, et cetera. Over concentrating into one specific industry or market.
Tech.
Yeah, exactly. Which is good, but is not always good, right? Sometimes you want to put some Microsofts and some other big wigs in there, but also ignoring volatility. So I've talked to folks on the phone. I don't care what the market does. It's always going to come back. And these are people like 65 years old and calling me on the phone and needing help, but they had that mentality. I don't care about volatility. So that's a huge risk. Another risk is actually the too little risk version, going too conservative on this long-term bucket, losing growth potential. In other words, shifting everything to bonds or something like that. I don't want to do tech, or I don't want to do any kind of crypto, whatever it may be. That's losing growth potential, because that stuff's going to be good for you. And then actually falling behind inflation. The whole goal for this long-term bucket is to, the later bucket I should say, is to beat inflation. That's what it's for. So if you're not beating inflation, if you put, again, one of our shows is going to be talking about CDs. And so I'm talking to some clients right now about CDs, and all they have is CDs. That's not beating inflation, but putting all your investments, all your retirement accounts, I take these monies out and I put it in CDs.
Yes, I've heard it.
Yeah, I don't get it. So that's falling behind inflation. They're not going to have enough money to be able to support themselves to buy eggs, gas and everything else, because they're only doing CDs. So there's ways to do that, something around that. And also you kind of talked about it. That's disorganization on withdrawal timing. So that's taking income from the later bucket when they should be leaning on the soon bucket. Lack of coordination. That's treating investments as standalone accounts instead of part of an integrated strategy. The whole key about this later bucket is balance. It's the later bucket is not a gamble. It's a structured long-term strategy that works in harmony.
I like it. It's no gamble. No gambling here.
No gambling. So if you're listening right now and this kind of stopped you because you're not sure how long-term investments are actually structured for the second half of retirement, or you leaned in because you're struggling to balance growth with real protection, or this conversation feels uncomfortably familiar because you don't have a coordinated strategy for replenishing income later in life, then this is exactly why we offer a free financial fast track review for the next 10 callers. These are not decisions you want to keep pushing down the road like folks continue to do. The longer the later stages of retirement go unplanned, the fewer options you typically have, and the harder it becomes to correct those courses. This review is designed for people who want to get ahead of those risks, not react to them after the fact. So if you save $200,000 or more for retirement and want to make sure your long-term strategy can support you for decades, this review is built for you. In this review, my team and I will help you analyze your long-term growth portfolio, evaluate whether you're taking the right amount of risk, build a strategy to replenish future income cycles, stress test your plan for inflation and longevity risk, align your later buckets with your overall retirement income strategy. We're also going to create a personalized long-term blueprint that supports financial confidence for decades. Only for the next 10 callers. This is a free, no obligation review designed to give you clarity and direction for the long-term phases of retirement before time and market conditions make those decisions more difficult. Jackie, tell the listeners how to get one of these spots.
Grab that spot with Tod Long, 888-548-0409, 888-548-0409.
Is your retirement plan starting to feel generic? You're unique. Your retirement strategy should be too. At Long Financial Services, Tod Long customizes each plan specifically around you, your life, and your goals. For a personalized review of your retirement, call 888-548-0409. Proudly serving Oklahoma. Again, that's 888-548-0409.
This is the portion of our show where we're going to integrate our buckets into a cohesive retirement income plan. Yay! We've been talking about buckets here, financial buckets, and the floor of the buckets, which I had to really dig down and ask Tod all about this. Modern retirement income buckets, guaranteed income floors. Boy, you can't use that word guaranteed very often, Tod Long.
No, you can't.
In financial services, I mean.
Right. Well, yeah, that's right. Let's
right.
Let's get it focused on this. But absolutely, okay. You're right. You can't. But there are products that are out there that do give you that guaranteed income that a lot of people just really don't take advantage of for some reason. They feel that your pension, that's probably paying you $500 or $600 a month, or your Social Security, $2,500, $4,000 a month, whatever it may be, is the only guaranteed money you have coming in, or you can have coming in, but that's not necessarily true. We talked about it before. There's tons of kinds of annuities that actually are contractually bound to pay you money.
Nice.
And so you just gotta shift some money around to make those kind of things happen. You have your own personalized pension or Social Security coming into you.
I love the idea of that, and you can have it pay you by the month or by the every 2 weeks or whatever.
Quarterly. Yeah. It's typically the month, quarterly, or every 6 months or once a year. So it really depends on what you want to do with it. But yeah, you can get it done that way.
What fun. And you can talk to Tod about this, 888-548-0409. 888-548-0409. Certainly this has to reduce the stress of, okay, that paycheck is stopping. Mm-hmm. We've worked all this time. We're programmed to receive this paycheck for our daily hours that we, exchange with the employer.
Right. I think one of the, and if we're to tell anyone who's about to retire in the next year, 2 years, et cetera, I would say one of the first things I would do is set up an account that pays me consistently. Maybe not the same amount of money he's making when he was, working for the man, mm-hmm. but a consistent flow of money that's going to be coming in contractually for the rest of my life. And anybody can do this. They sometimes they want to do it, sometimes they don't know about it or whatever, but it absolutely needs to happen immediately when you retire. It has nothing to do with Social Security, has nothing to do with your pensions.
All right.
Those are in unison and on top of what I would do immediately when I retire.
Right. And this is going to reduce the stress of that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because I'm replacing my paycheck. I'm
Right.
getting. I mean, I was getting, I'm calling it $5,000 a month from working at whatever I was working at, and I was,
Yes.
all my bills associated with $5,000.
Right.
So now when I retire, how can I replace that $5,000 that I was getting? That's easily done if you save. And I mentioned in some of these offers, $200,000 or more, $1 million or more, $750,000 or more, whatever. I can take a portion of those funds. I can divert that into the right kinds of solutions or strategies, and I can guarantee you an income similar to what you're making. Now, again, it's in unison with pensions and Social Security, et cetera. We can get you back up to that $5,000, $6,000 a month or more, depending on what the situation is, that what's guaranteed. That's contractually bound, and that is your income floor. And that's how you actually create that.
I love it. Because there's a lot of emotional attachment to a job, and one of those is the gosh darn paycheck.
Yeah, absolutely. As it should. If I put in the 40 hours, 50 hours a week, I want to get paid for it. And that's exactly what people miss. One of the things they miss is that paycheck. Of course, there's all kinds of psychological things you got to go through to, once you retire. Just watch the TV show where a gentleman, he retired after 40 something years, and, he started to cry and whatnot, whatever. And, I get that. I understand that. He spent 40 years at that place. It was actually The Rookie. I guess it's on ABC now, but it's a pretty good. It's a pretty good TV show. But
Yeah, it's important to replace the income. And it's just fascinating the way you set it up. I want to give out your number again, 888-548-0409, 888-480-409. Now, Todd, let's get our coordination together here for our bucket, our final bucket. Talk to me about the breakdown here.
yes. So what I will say this, it's the coordination is highly important, and it's your retirement income plan isn't really strong because of one particular asset, right? Or one particular element. It's strong because of how all the pieces work together. I just mentioned, having a Social Security thing, having a pension, and also having some sort of other contractually bound income coming in. Those things are going to work together to get you where you want to be. So think of it as a relay team. Obviously, I ran a lot of relays in my life. We just talked about World Championship 4x4 in 1995.
Yes, sir.
So it didn't matter how fast each athlete was individually on that relay team. What matters was how smoothly we transitioned the baton between those exchanges. That determined whether or not we won or lost. And if you can take that same kind of concept into retirement planning, guess what? Your Social Security has to work well with your pension. Your pension and Social Security has to work well with your contractually bound, income bucket. Your soon bucket has to work well with your income bucket. Your later bucket has to work with all. Those are the different relay legs in your retirement. And they all have to have that correct kind of pass off, so everything works smoothly, and you can build a solid retirement plan this way.
What you're saying is a poor coordination strategy is going to create some inefficiencies and could create fear and a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'll create, fear, anxiety. You're going to be going to bed like, man, I have X, Y, and Z dollar amount in my bank account. Where's this next check going to come from? That kind of thing. It could affect with your taxes. If you do something wrong or incorrect, make a bad decision, et cetera. And then you can have the your IRMA, charges or surcharges on your Medicare. All these things can all play together, and they all have to be mapped out correctly, such that you will avoid all those problems that a lot of people who don't plan go through.
So our guaranteed income floor, this is the anchor of the whole retirement plan, correct?
It is. That starts the whole process.
Okay.
And then again, the second is obviously having a soon bucket that is funded correctly to where it can last 10 to 15 years and bypass all of the market downturns, all the things that are going on geopolitically, all the stuff that's out there, economics or whatever it may be. Your soon bucket's sheltered. Doesn't care any of what's happening out there because it's going to continue to flow money in the right direction. Then your later bucket is the one that actually can weather the storm of all those geopolitical scenarios, economic scenarios, all that stuff. Okay,
so the what you're saying is the soon bucket is the midterm stabilizer?
It is. Yeah, that keeps you everything erect, going in the right direction. That's what that right there is for.
Right. It's the bucket at the water park. I keep seeing it in my mind. I really can't wait for summer. But it doesn't go back and forth and back and forth. It just feeds from the top, and then it spills over, and then the next one spills over, and the next one spills over.
That is correct. And there's again, the long-term bucket or later bucket is the one that is probably the biggest.
Okay.
But it starts to shift over time because again, our retirement is going to last for 30 years or more. And so we want to make sure that these buckets are funded correctly such that each phase of your retirement has the right kind of assets in the right kind of buckets. So the incomes can come out strategically, tax efficiently, to where we don't have these problems that a lot of people have that again, who don't have retirement plans, correct?
Mm-hmm. This is good stuff. 888-548-0409. Get on the phone and talk to Todd about your buckets and how to make them work in sync with the other bucket so you can have a nice, smooth retirement. 888-548-0409 to get your financial fast track review. All right, soon bucket, midterm stabilizer, boom, we covered that. And our later bucket is the long-term engine, right? That's the engine that could.
Yeah, that's correct. And it's the one that protects you against inflation, replenishes your future income cycles, which again, really what it does is funds your soon bucket again, provides longevity protection, helps cover later in life expenses like healthcare. Because again, we are living longer.
Oh my, yes.
If we're living longer, there's going to be more healthcare, and healthcare is not going down. It's always going up. So too often people treat retirement as a static event. Like, once they retire, the work is done. But the later bucket reminds us that the retirement is dynamic. You need a long-term engine that grows, adapts, and prepares for future income needs.
So proper timing and withdrawal sequencing. Why is the order of the withdrawals critical?
Well, this one actually makes a lot of retirement plans kind of fall apart. Is the timing and the sequence.
Okay.
So, and you have to know this: when to draw from the income floor, when to lean on the soon bucket, when to let the later bucket grow, when to rebalance all those buckets, when to convert growth into future income. Sequence matters because the order of withdrawals can dramatically impact how long your money actually lasts. So the wrong withdrawals at the wrong time can shorten a portfolio's lifespan by years and sometimes by decades. So the right withdrawal is actually extended for decades. So it's important to understand, again, in a snapshot level and then actually at a granular level, how all these work together. Again, going back to that relay analogy, all these fit together, all the batons are passed smoothly in a correct order. And once that happens, you can start to, especially, I was going to actually reiterate on the rebalancing, making sure all these buckets are rebalanced appropriately throughout the years. So if you are listening right now and everything caught your attention because you're not really confident your retirement plan is truly coordinated, or you leaned in because you're not sure how all of your income sources actually fit together. So that's exactly the reason why we offer a free financial fast track review for the next 10 callers. At some point, having most of the pieces just isn't enough. Without coordination, even good strategies can work against each other, especially once withdrawals, taxes, and income timing start to matter more. This review is designed for people who want to replace guesswork with structure and make sure that the plan holds together over time. So if you've accumulated $200,000 or more for retirement and want clarity around how everything fits before those decisions become locked in, this review is for you. In this review, my team and I will help you map out your full income plan across all buckets, evaluate whether your guaranteed income floor is sized correctly, analyze your withdrawal sequence for tax and longevity efficiency, determine whether your investments align with the long-term income strategy, stress test your plan for volatility, inflation, and longevity, and actually build a coordinated step-by-step income roadmap you can rely on for decades. For the next 10 callers, this is a free, no-obligation review designed to replace uncertainty with clarity and give you confidence about your financial future with a plan that actually works together. So, Jackie, tell the listeners how to get one of these spots.
888-548-0409. 888-548-0409 on Financial Fast Track Radio with Tod Long.
investment advisory services offered through Tod Long, a registered investment advisor. During this show, Tod Long provides general information, not individually targeted personalized advice, and is not liable for the usage of information discussed. Exposure to ideas and products or services should not be considered investment advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any of these financial vehicles. This information should also not be considered tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a professional specializing in the fields of tax, legal, accounting, or investments regarding the applicability of this information for their situation. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments will fluctuate, and when redeemed, may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not in any way refer to securities or investment advisory services. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and are offered through Tod Long. By contacting Tod Long, you may be provided information regarding the purchase of insurance products.